stop focusing on the how of what you're trying to do. The most natural way to do something is the way you're really doing it naturally, and not your idea of what you think it is. Get over that. Now, here's where the transcendental part, this is the part nobody likes. Above what is why. If I know that my motivations in doing something are sincere, I'll be able to figure out why. But if I have no personal integrity, none whatsoever, then any kind of what I decide on, I'm going to change my mind later. This is a very crucial and important point in dealing with art. I deal with this, no other teacher I know deals with this. Why do you want to sing? Why do you want to do it that way? Why? I don't know if you can remember when you were 2 or 3 years old, but our 3-year-old, the biggest question out of her mouth whenever she wants to stump us is why. And you know, if the 3-year-old asks you why enough, you're going to run out of answers. Nobody knows all the whys there are in the world. I'm also a Freudian. Sigmund Freud said, when he dealt with patients, this was important. As soon as they understood what it was they wanted, that was to go see somebody for help, he had to help them understand why. And once they understood why, then what they had been doing all along became self-evident. And although they couldn't get over it right away, sooner or later they'd figure out how to get around themselves and become normal, whatever that means. In other words, they'd learn how to endure life. They would figure out how to suffer, get through it. So why becomes important? If your motives of doing something are not really pure, examine your why. If you're dealing with a what, I want to do such and such, and you're unsuccessful, probably because your why hasn't been defined, isn't sincere, you're not being sincere with yourself. My suggestion is stop fooling yourself and get off that, go on to the next what. Figure out why you didn't get along with this what and go on to the next why. This is just personal philosophy. If you can start with the why of everything, the what will become evident. Once you know what it is you want to do, you can invent any kind of how you need to get there. And that is how I arrived at the kind of music theory that I'm about to teach you. And this is why I argue with all kinds of people constantly about what the difference between what I'm doing and what they're doing is. And basically, I'm not a traditionalist. I feel you can stomp on a tradition, or you can bend something, or you can figure out an easier way to make it work for you. Do it. Do it. I'm an egghead because I'm lazy. And because my basic nature is one of laziness, I find the quickest, simplest, easiest way of getting it done and out of the way. I have some personal integrity about my why. I wouldn't take on a what unless I really wanted to finish it. And so I finish it. And I can be productive about what I do because I understand my personal integrity in dealing with it. So I get a lot of things done, little things sometimes. I don't set my goals high, and I'm successful at what it is I want to do because I keep my why in check. Okay, now, how does this all relate to music theory? It doesn't. Not to the theory itself. Only to the music that you make. If you find yourself practicing too much, or if you find yourself not practicing at all, stop whatting yourself and start wondering why. Get a personal handle on your motives. Most times when a music student I have can't quite get some little piece of music together, it's because they have an emotional connection there that they don't even understand. An example of this is I was playing an Arksaki piece, and I kept missing these intervals all the time, and I couldn't understand why I did it. The fingering pattern wasn't any harder than anything else I'd ever done, but I missed those damn intervals every time. One day, while I was taking a bath, it occurred to me that those intervals sounded like something I had heard in my past. Going back in my memory, I suddenly remembered an incident in which my sister was drowning. And while she was drowning, she was screaming those intervals. And I was thinking to myself, drown. I wasn't very noble about what I was thinking. I really wanted her dead. I was 9. Kids have death wishes all the time. I wanted her dead. I couldn't admit that to myself. But that idea, repressed, got tied up with that music. And when I was 35 years old trying to play it, I couldn't do it because I couldn't admit to myself the situation. Well, after I figured it out, I went back to the piano, and wham! I could hit it. It was uncomfortable. It took me time to play those intervals, but I could play them. Then I thought, well, if that worked, how about if I reverse it? And I thought about a friend that I had a long time ago when I was giving them a massage, back massage. And I like this part of the body very much. And suddenly I realized that when my hand is in that position, it's right around the edge of the buttocks there when you're giving someone a massage. And I eroticized it. I took that which I didn't understand and understood why I couldn't do it. I then was able to get it down a little bit, and then I turned it around and made it a friend. I eroticized it. And now to this day, I can go over on the piano and just whip out those chords and not only play them well, but play them erotically, play them sensually. So intervals, patterns I didn't even want to hear, I was keeping away. I can now am in control of it because I understood the situation, why I couldn't hear. Almost any time that you are having problems with your technique, it's not because you need a new guitar. It's not because you need a more powerful instrument. I am sick and tired of hearing people say, well, if I buy a $1,000 flute, I'll sound better. No, you won't. It'll be just as bad on a $1,000 flute as it will be on a $100 flute. But if you can get so good on a $100 flute that you can't stand the instrument anymore, then go buy a $1,000 flute. And you'll find out something. Musicians who reach that transcendental level of technique don't buy $1,000 flutes because they can make a $100 flute sound like a $5,000 flute. They can grab a broken guitar and play it beautifully. They can take, in the middle of a concert while they're playing their harp, if a string busts, they'll ret it up and keep right on going without missing a beat. You transcend the instrument when you stop concerning yourself with all this how. You transcend yourself when you stop concerning yourself with all the how. When you find out that there is something you cannot do, you have an emotional hang-up that you have to deal with. And if you don't deal with yourself, you're not going to get the technique together. Sorry. You just won't. That's Music Philosophy 101. The next part of Music Philosophy 101 is, what is music itself? Music is taught usually as a noun. You go to school, they say, this is A, this is B, this is C, this is a harp, this is a jung, that's a Danny, this is a blackboard. And by calling things names, you're supposed to learn music. No way. It'll take you 15 years to learn to read music that way. I feel that you can learn to read music if you understand that music is a language, as any other language, the language that I'm using to convey to you, and that it is not a nominative process. It's not a process of giving something a name and a definition. It's a process. That is, it's motion. It's the actual movement of something. Or, if you will, it's the grammar. And in music, music is all too often taught as a series of definitions, and it is not. It is a grammar. Another problem is one of jargon. You know what I mean by jargon? Jive. This person speaks and uses one kind of words, and another person saying the same thing but uses another kind of word. The two people don't understand each other's jargon, and they argue for hours, and they both agree, and they're both talking about the same thing, and you're sitting back, and you know both jargons, and you're laughing to yourself, because you're like, what the hell are they arguing What they're arguing about is not understanding each other, really. They're arguing about this goes on in you when you study music. Your ear has a memory, and that memory is in a certain place in your head. Your eye has a memory, and its memory is in a certain place in its head. And your voice and your tactile sensation, your touch, has a memory, and it has a place in your head. In order to play music, you have three memories that you have to deal with. Your visual memory, your audio memory, and your tactile memory. Now imagine, if I taught you, from the time you were born, all the words that dealt with your tactile memory in German, and then I taught you all the words that dealt with your visual image in Swedish, and then I taught you all the things that dealt with your audio memory in Russian, you wouldn't even be able to talk to yourself. Your sense of sight wouldn't understand what your sense of hearing is doing, and your sense of hearing wouldn't understand what your tactile sensations are doing. And this is how you're taught music. You're given one set of words or jargon for what you're seeing on the page. Your ear is experiencing something else, and your hand is experiencing something else. And if you learn the jargon of the technique, and you learn the different jargon for the visual, and you learn a different jargon for the audio, well, you can't even talk to yourself about something you love in your own head. So what I've done is throw it away. I was having problems writing. My spelling is so bad that every time I began to write something and the idea began to flow, I stopped to think, how do you spell the word consciousness? And suddenly I'd lose the idea. I'd get so into a heavy trip with myself about spelling that I'd lose what I was trying to say. My what went right out the window the minute I got hung up on my how. And I couldn't help myself. So I grabbed a book on great shorthand, and I decided if you can't bow your head and attack yourself directly, then step off to the side and come in from the side like judo, a little side sweep. So what I did is I went out and I learned great shorthand. And by learning great shorthand, one, I could spell phonetically. It was wonderful. I didn't have to know how to spell anything. Two, most of the words in shorthand, why, you can put 5 words together in one little squiggle. There are words that are very common. The, he, is, them. And they have what they call short forms. And when you write something, after a while, you get out of just thinking about the great shorthand as a language that you're trying to cope with, and you can develop style. You can totally think about what it is you want to write. And the process of writing doesn't have to get in your way at all. And what happened is the ideas could flow. Later, I learned how to type. And I now find that if I sit in front of a word processor, the word processor, because it's a soft visual image, makes me feel, gives me a certain kind of security about putting anything up there that I want, because I can move it around and bend it any way I want. Where if I write it with a pen and paper, I'm kind of stuck. Frozen ideas. I don't like frozen ideas. I like to work ideas out and then freeze them. So the word processor gave me that feeling. This ability to be comfortable and let it flow. And I didn't have to worry about my spelling because I have programs that spell. So now I can type phonetically and load a program that will go through 50,000 words, which I couldn't possibly remember, and tell me which words are in doubt. And I can then look up only the ones I don't know and learn them. What's happened in the last few months is my spelling has improved in spite of myself. I've learned to write in spite of myself. I have developed a new how at going about what it is I wanted to do. And by inventing a new how for myself, I was able not to even have to confront the old bad habits I had, and was able to do what it is I want. That's what I had to do with music. I had to throw out the jargon for the eye, and I had to throw out the jargon for my ear, and I had to throw out the jargon for my tactile sensation, and try to put together one jargon that made sense for all three. And what happened when I did that is all three of my senses began to talk to each other. It got to the point where if I saw music on the page, I actually hear it in my ear. It got to the point where if I heard music in my ear, I could start playing it on the piano by ear, not with my ear. And if I heard something and played it on the piano, I was able to write it down because I knew what it would look like. What I claim is that numbers do that. If I teach you names to things, we'll confuse your three memories. But the one thing that I found is common about these three memories is your eye is very good at seeing distance. Your ear actually hears pitch as if it were a distance. And your hand certainly moves a distance on your instrument. The technique of all instruments has something to do with moving your hands, distances. Hearing has something to do with listening to the distance between two things, either an imaginary thing which I'm holding in my mind and then I compare everything to that, or two actual sounds, two actual events that occur. And I compare them, the distance. My eye does that also. So in this music theory, I use numbers, or I teach by interval. And I found that by teaching by interval, I can get your eye and your ear and your hand all to do the same thing. And what happens after a while of working with it is they begin to short circuit. They get into a dialogue with each other and start talking up a storm like they've never talked up a storm before. And in a very short period of time, what you see is what you hear you can write down. What you can see, hear, or write down, you can play. What you can play, you can write. Because all three senses do the same thing. Now, right now what I'd like to do is explain basically music theory is a language. And if I can expose the grammar of that language, I'm going to show you the greatest cosmic how you've ever seen in your life. And because I expose the grammar of it, it makes what we're doing a lot simpler. And by using numbers for reading pitches, and numbers for reading harmony, the technique of what we're doing on the piano, and what happens with your three senses will all work together. By teaching you rhythm as language, when we do poetry, when we speak, we're actually generating rhythm. If I can teach you or show you a way to use ordinary language to be able to read rhythms, and if I can show you a way to take notes or numbers and convert them into melodies and harmonies, then you only have those two things to focus in on and worry about, and not all the other jargon and all the other name games that have come down before. Now, music has three elements. The three elements are rhythm, melody, and harmony. And for the Freudians in the audience, which I am, rhythm is the I. It occurs in the ego. The unconscious mind has no awareness of time, couldn't care less. When you're a child, you're all unconscious. You're in the process of learning about the world, which you want to reject. And you think everything is you, the great cosmic it of you, that you are immortal, timeless, can't be hurt. And that just isn't true. Rhythm means that we, in some way or another, have to recognize the fact that our life is limited, and that we die, and that we are mortal. And the part of our brain that understands that is our ego, because our ego is very concerned with death. It counts and ticks away at life quite religiously because it understands its mortality. And out of that comes our need for rhythm. And rhythm is the very essential basis of music. Without rhythm, no music. I can have music without melody. I can have music without harmony. have music without rhythm. So rhythm, and learning rhythm, and understanding rhythm, and working and writing with it becomes one of the most basic foundations. Now the ego is that part of the mind that likes to think a lot and measure and weigh and evaluate things. So it counts. The ego is responsible for counting. And so if we can learn to count, learn some simple ways of counting, get the old ego moving here, we'll have the basis of rhythm, the basis of music. Melody is the it. The thing about the it is really turned on by changes. It likes color and motion. It doesn't concern itself with time. It doesn't concern itself with beginnings and endings. Everything coexists in the it, all together, all at once. All sounds, all colors, all notions, good and evil, coexist in the same place in the it without any contradiction. Melodies are very much like that. What's out there in the world is all sounds, all possibilities of all sounds. Sounds themselves have no morality, and a horn honking and a violin playing a beautiful melody can coexist. Harmony is this kind of thing, structure. I relate harmony in architecture to the foundation and the struts in the building around that hold the building up, the vertical supports. And harmony becomes the vertical support. It's almost pure mathematics. It has to do with the very nature of structure itself. And because it is vertical structure, it doesn't move very fast. It likes to be planted in a place and grow. It likes to express its verticalness. It does not like to express its linearity. Melody loves to express its motion and its linearity. Melody is go that way. Harmony is here I stand. Harmony is almost moral. And so I give it the am, the superego. It has to do with concepts of morality. Harmonic structure has a lot to do with moral structures. As you'll see, it has to do with being able to create vertical structures and their interrelationships with each other. And that these various interrelationships can be expressed grammatically also, and can be seen at their basis to have a very simple, rudimentary structure, which doesn't have to be all that complex. Now, in music, the one overview that I like to have about it is, as I said, it's a function or it's a process. It's not just a name game. And so in expressing music, the important thing is not to play the notes and not to get the rhythm correct. What's important in music is phrasing, expression. And how I express something actually becomes more important than what it is I express. Now there's a linguistic connection here. Let's take something like, I will go to the store. Now, without changing a single word, without changing one single word, I can say that sentence to express any emotion, any concept to you that I like. I will go to the store. I will go to the store. That's where my participation in this whole situation is in question or doubt. Or how about if I say, I will go to the store? Go to the store? Now, where I'm going is in doubt, not my participation. I'm talking about my I will go to the store, meaning I'm not there yet. It's not past tense. It's not present tense. I will go to the store. It's what's going to happen now. And the emphasis on what's going to happen is more important than what's happening. What am I doing? All I'm changing is which word I emphasize, which word I accent, whether my voice goes up or whether my voice drops down. In that is a whole bunch of meaning that comes across to you that's absolutely independent of the words and completely independent of the order in which I put the words. I store go to. I store go to. I can still express questions, exclamations, whether the store is in doubt, whether I'm in doubt. Actually, any malu, mispronouncing that, I'm sure, any cloud of meaning that I want to throw across to you, I can throw across to you using any combinations of words in any style I want. So what really counts is the expression of what I do, and not the order of the words. Therefore, the study of harmony, the study of music theory, the study of melody, the study of rhythm is not very important. What's important is the study of phrasing, the study of how I say what I say. Well, I could write a perfectly good poem and give it to someone who has a terrible voice, who doesn't know how to read at all, and they can ruin my poetry. On the other hand, I can write mediocre poetry, but if it's presented with the proper voice, if emphasized, a good actor could make a very bad play seem good. The art has to do with the expression of what, and not what it is exactly. So, form and phrasing become more important than what it is. More important than the notes that I use or the words that I use is the meaning that I try to convey through how I'm going to touch something, how I phrase it. And phrasing becomes very important. That is the one concept that you have to keep clear in your head when doing music. Now, we're going to start doing some rhythm things here. And a couple weeks ago, someone said, well, Mr. Natural, everything you do sounds good. Well, of course. That's what I just said to you. Everything I do, it doesn't matter what it is, but the fact that when I tap out a rhythm, or when I put rhythms together on the board, and you say, well, that makes sense. It really makes sense, not because of the way I put them on the board, or because of all this how I'm about to show you. It makes sense because I make it pretty. It makes sense because I groove on it. I feel it. And because I feel the rhythm and convey that feeling to you, I can play any rhythm in any order, in any sequence, anywhere, and use any pattern whatsoever and make it sound interesting. Because of the phrasing, it's the way I emphasize what I do. That makes it pretty ultimate. Now, I'm not going to say much more about that, except that it's the most important thing in music. And unfortunately, because we're dealing with the how, we have a whole lot of how here to deal with, I can't get back into it. But I want you to know that the overview is that everything I show you has to ultimately come back to your personal integrity and your willingness to understand that you're communicating feelings. And you communicate those feelings through how you touch something, how you approach something, how you want to get it across emotionally, not how in terms of what it is. Now, rhythm is actually poetry. And language poetry has used things like the iambic pentameter, for instance. You have various types of rhythms that were used during certain periods of time in poetry. And the poets would have things rhyme, use rhyme scheme, or always when they wrote, try to find words that in some way or another fit these rigid rhythm schemes that they developed. Well, actually, they kind of had the horse before the cart. Because what happened is, naturally, these rhythms came out. And certain types of rhythms in poetry became popular. And then, after somebody had the pot, they invented the handle. And they decided that, well, if this kind of rhythm always pops out of poetry and people like that, and I want to write something that sells, I'm now going to make my words fit that rhythm. And so you see in school, they get it turned around. And they say, you make this fit this thing, and you are writing poetry. Not true. You have to say something you want to say. And language tends to generate its own rhythms anyway. Now I found that a person can learn to read and write and dictate, most importantly, hear, and be able to write down rhythms by using language. For years, piano tuners have had to be able to count the number of warbles and overtones. And sometimes you have to count as many as 9 warbles per second. Well, it's real hard to count up to 9, and count over the 9, and count over the 9, and watch your clock and do that on the second. So piano tuners learned a trick a long time ago. They found out that if you can find one word that has 9 syllables in it, and say that word over and over, that you'll get 9 pulses. If I want to take something like, red water. If I want to generate 5 pulses per second, let's say, the count of 5, I could say the word Mississippi mud. Mississippi mud. Now, if I can say that word once a second, every second, I'm generating a count of 5, aren't I? And it's a lot easier to say Mississippi mud, Mississippi mud, Mississippi mud, Mississippi mud, Mississippi mud, It's a lot easier to do that than it is to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As a matter of fact, if you're a member of the Ellen Wood speed reading course, you'll learn that if you can stop your voice from sub-vocalizing the word, your brain is capable of throwing words at tremendous speeds. People who read 50,000 words per minute read that fast because they're not trying to speak the words down here. The muscles aren't going. They've gotten to a point in which their brain can perceive the word at such a high rate that their body doesn't reflect the language at all. And it's possible for you in meditation to think of the word Mississippi mud, Mississippi mud, Mississippi mud, Mississippi mud, and speed it up 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 so fast, faster than you can say it, faster than you could sub-vocalize it. You could do it as fast as you could think it. And you have the freedom to slow it down or speed it up whenever you want to. All you have to do is will that. And it happens. You can slow it down or speed it up smoothly, just by willing it. Well, you need that kind of control in rhythm. If you're going to play rhythm, sometimes the rhythm doesn't always stay at the same tempo. It has to pick up or slow down. And if you're trying to learn a rhythm by counting, well, then the problem is you're always going to be stuck with this little bit of sub-vocalization, and you're always going to be stuck at a limited speed. You won't be able to make it fluid. But if you can take rhythm and convert rhythm into words, and then say the poem in your head, you can generate the rhythm faster than your body is able to perform it, at the speed of thought, which is faster than the speed of light, by the way, and have control over it. things I try to show is that when you get words, they occur to you. Let's say you write a poem. Often people will write a poem, or they'll get some little story, and they'll say, gee, I want to put this to a song. Well, the first thing I recommend is that you understand that the words themselves have a rhythm. And if you go and write a song whose rhythm is different than the natural flow of the words and your song will be contradictory. And what will happen is your melody or your song may peak musically in a spot that changes the emphasis of what you're trying to say, and it will go from I will go to the store to I will go to the store. And you might change something from being a question to an exclamation. See what I'm saying? And so the problem is, we must first try to discover the hidden rhythm that is within the natural words. Now, the rhythm will change if we change the way we say something. Up here, I changed the way in which I say I will go to the store. And when I did that, the rhythm of what I was saying changed. That's one thing that came across to you in terms of the meaning. The rhythm changes. And by making rhythmic changes, I can change the flow and the meaning of what is happening. Now here's an example. I use what I call code words. And as whole chunks, if you measure your pulse, you'll find out that the average pulse is approximately 72 pulses per minute. In most rock and roll music, which is called common time in 4/4, says that the quarter note, which is drawn like this, equals 72. And often when I'm listening to the radio, I'll just kind of kick back and feel my pulse, and sure enough, the music will be going along at that speed. The heart regulates rhythm and timing within the body, and breathing, my breath, will change that. And so when I'm dealing with rhythm, I'm dealing with my pulse or my heart. That's what sets up all the sense of timing inside of me. And my mind, being aware of my heart beating and afraid that it will stop at any moment, makes me aware of this time, or aware of this pulse. Now, if I want more than one sound to happen in each pulse, I use these code words. If I want to subdivide the pulse into faster and faster things, then I use the code words. For instance, if I want to subdivide from one pulse speed to another into 5 little boom-boom-booms, I think Mississippi Mud, Mississippi Mud, Mississippi Mud, in between each pulse speed. And what I'll be generating is 5 sounds in one pulse speed. There you have the essence of rhythm. The only other thing you have to add to that is what they call meter. And all meter is count. If I try to count my pulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you'll notice that even when a nurse does it, she never waits for a whole minute, does she? She only counts about 15 seconds worth, and then she multiplies it by 4. Because you don't want to count 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 5 million. And if music was done that way, it would be very difficult to keep the beat, to keep the pulse going. So what they do in music is they create a thing called meter. It's a count. And they try to subdivide the pulses that you're feeling into a series of counts. The count might be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the pulse are undifferentiated beats. But if every 4th one I start counting over, I am now in a meter. And that meter is 4. For some reason in music, and I'm not sure of the history of this, I think it had to do with when people first learned how to use fractions. They decided to use quarter, 4, as the main staple of meter in music. And if you have something 4, 4, this is a whole number, a whole fraction. So they called this from here to here, these little guys are called bars. And everything that happens from bar to bar is expressed by this whole number. This whole number expresses a whole bar. Now, if I have 4, 4, what it's saying is my count of the pulses is up to 4. And then I count over at 4. So I'm going to subdivide this bar into four sub-pieces, or 4 subsections. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then right here it's going to start all over again. I can count to 3, I can count to 5, I can count to 6. Most music is what they call common time, 4/4, also shown sometimes with a big C for common. And that means that all you do is count to 4. And then you count over and over and over. And that way you could count these 72 pulses in 1 minute in about, 15, 16 groups, and voila, you're there. This gives you more control of what's happening in terms of the meter. It gives you more control of the count, so you don't space out. We can make the count smaller. For instance, if I make this 3/4, what I'm doing at that point is I'm just subdividing this thing then into 3 sections. And every third pulse beat, I would count over 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, certain counts down through history have taken on certain flavors, certain styles. 4/4 is used for rock music, most common music, the kinds of sing-along steps, that viol, the scream. 3/4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, has taken on the flavor of the waltz and the minuet. So that count itself creates a certain flavor of music that you can write in. If I made it 2/4, or 1/2, often known as cut time, or half time, or if I take the C and draw a line through it, which means cut the C in half, I'm now dividing into 2 pulses per bar line. And that is often known as swing. It's also been known as the 2-step, or marches are often. A lot of John Philip Sousa is in 2. A lot of rudimental march type music is in 2. It's a very fast, very quick, very regimented kind of pulse meter. Now, if I want to somehow or another be able to control the subdivisions within this, I can use code words to create rhythms in any kind of count that I want. All I have to do is decide what I'm going to count on to. Now, for the rest of this evening, I'm always going to count to 4, common time. And I'm going to write things and show you how to do things by using 4 seconds per bar line, if you will. And every 4 seconds, I'm going to be repeating my count. And what I'm going to do is focus on how do we break down the subdivisions. What do I do in the beat of 1, in a pulse of 1? And how can I break 1 down into smaller divisions? And I do that by using either monosyllabic or dual syllabic, quadrisyllabic words. If I need 1 pulse, I say the word 1. So if I'm feeling 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, I can say 1, 1, 1, 1. And the way that looks, there are 4 divisions. It looks like this. And I just say 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And that rhythm pops out. Now let's say I want within one of these time periods, I want two divisions. So I need a duosyllabic word. The duosyllabic word that gives me two sounds in that is number. Now the whole word, number, still takes up one pulse. So if I'm feeling my pulse, counting on number, 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 Can you hear me clap the difference between a 1 and a number? Can you hear that? It's simple so far, right? So simple it's almost hard to believe. Now watch what happens. If I want, I'm going to jump over here. I'm only going to use multiples of 2 here. I'll explain why later. Here's the word diatonic. If I take the word diatonic and I say diatonic in each pulse, what I'll get is 4 sounds per pulse. 4 sounds per pulse. Diatonic, 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 number, diatonic, 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 number, hear it? That's what's important. You can hear it, right? That's the amazing thing about using code words. The minute you know the code words, you can hear it. The minute you can hear it, you can write it down. Now, harmony. Harmony is special. It's a special case. If you take 1 and multiply it by 2, you get 2. If you take 2 and multiply it by 2, you get 4. So in some ways, those are a ratio of 1 to 2. Or 2 to 1. They're exactly double each other. And because they're exactly double each other, I can go from one of those code words to the other and never switch gears. One will neatly fit inside of the other. They're always because they're exact multiples. But when I shift to harmony, I am trying to divide, let's just say that from this point here to this point here is one whole pulse. Instead of dividing it like this, or like this, as you'll see neatly does, I'm trying to divide it like this. 3 equal pieces. And you notice that 3 equal pieces do not fit 2, 4, or 1 equal piece. There's a kind of a shifting of the gears, if you will. So whenever you say the word harmony, you're going to feel as if you've shifted gears. You're going to feel as if you've gone from something square to something round. Something just shifted gears and it's gone from being square to round. It's some version of harmony. The reason is, if this is a quarter note, it takes up a quarter of a beat, and this takes up an eighth of a beat, and this takes up a 16th of a beat, this takes up a 12th. And 1/12, this being 1/12, is an oddball fraction. And so it does that. And harmony is the only case that does that. It's the only oddness that we have in the rhythm scheme. And because of it, it always has that little shift feeling. If, when you say it, it doesn't do that, then you're probably not saying harmony, you're saying some strange esoteric version of these guys, which I'll show you in just a moment. Now, every rhythm that exists is some version pieces of these guys, or combinations of them in some way or another. And all rhythm, since it has to occur in a pulse, to pulse, to pulse, to pulse, will always be some whole number division of one of these four guys. I could take the rhythm, no matter how complex it is. If it has a lot of rests or areas where it rests, I can replace it with one of these guys and get over it. If I run into a rhythm, one pulse, one beat worth of rhythm, that's hard for me to play, try to figure out which of these guys it really is and replace it with this guy. And what will happen is, boom, it'll pop out later. Okay, now, I wrote up here, roses are red and violets are blue. You're my very special mama, and I love you. Now, I am forcing upon these words a rhythm that doesn't naturally exist when I say the words, because I am emphasizing something else. And if you look at the code words, you'll see it's number, number, burr. Number, number, that's a 1. This is half of a num. That's the upbeat of the burr. Burr. If you say burr, that comes out right. As a matter of fact, if I say number, number through this whole thing, including this part of the rhythm will work out. Number, number, burr. Number, number, dia, dia. This is some form of that. As a matter of fact, I could replace this with that. Number, number, diatonic. You'll notice that almost all of it is just number and 1. As a matter of fact, I would say about 60% of all music only uses these two figures, these two rhythms. I can pull out a piece of Anna Magdalena Bach and show you that over 60%, and in some cases 100% of the music uses only these two rhythmic figures. And if you can hear these and write these down, you can dictate most music. Most things you hear in the able right now get together right away. Now, actually, this poem, now I'll just tap this out. This is roses are red and violets are blue. My very special mom and I love you. Roses are red and violets are blue. You're my very special mom and I love you. So the poem, you see, has built-in rhythm. And by discovering the built-in rhythm, especially the way that I'm saying it, I can then write a piece of music using these rhythms that will fit these words. Actually, the rhythms come out of the words. Now, if I were just to say, roses are red, violets are blue, that's a different rhythm. Roses are red, violets are blue. Roses are red, violets are blue. Roses are red, violets are blue. Can you hear the code word? Ya-da-da-bum, 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 ya-da-da-bum. Harmony 1, harmony 1. So it would actually look like roses are red, violets are blue. Ya-da-da-bum, harmony 1. If I wanted to do You're Mine, I could do that with this on the upbeat. I could make this into half of it and put two of these guys. Ya-da-da-dum, ya-da-da-dum, ya-da. Dum-dum. Roses are red, violets are blue. You're my very special mama. Yada da da bum bum. Different rhythm now. And by saying that over and over, chanting it, and listening for the code words, I can figure out what the national rhythm is depending on how I'm saying it. And decode, rhythmically at least, how I mean to express those words. Therefore, if I write a piece of music, I can then pull that meaning or expression into the music because it comes out of the words naturally. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Da, 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 da. Da, da, ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Bum, ba, ba. Yum, ba, da. It's almost like number. Number. Actually, you'll see it's a half diatonic and half number. Actually, it's num-tonic, 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 as opposed to di-a-ver. Di-a-ver, 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 num-tonic, 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 di-a-ver, 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 num-tonic, num-tonic, di-a-ver, di-a-ver, di-a-ver. Get a sentence, just a simple sentence, like, get a sentence, get a sentence, and then try to take that sentence. See if you can hear the code words and write it down. Once you can, we can then make music out of it. Okay, here are our different meters. Here's 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 4. 3, 4 means I count to 3. And then I count to 3 again. And here I'm using those whole code words in some way to do something in 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Number, number. 1. Number diatonic. Code words. If I use 3 sets of the code words and 3 sets of the code words, I put together 2 measures or 2 bars of something in 3, 4. Now here's 4, 4. That means that I use 4 sets of the code words. That's all. If I put 4 of the code words grouped together, I get something in 4, 4. So we can go 1, 2, 3. Gears, gets around. 1, number, 1, harmony, number. Are you starting to hear it? See how powerful it is? In just a few more minutes, I'll be able to throw any of these code words at you, and any one of you will be able to write them down. And you can never been able to do that with music before. If I do 5, which is something that jazz musicians like to use a lot, okay, all I do is put 5 roots coarse together, and I'm doing something in 5/4. See, I got a little dot, 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 dot. The reason I do that is, in meter, the truth is, there's only counting to 2, and there's only counting to 3. If I want to count to 4, I can count to 4 by counting to 2 twice. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's 4. If I want to count to 5, I can count to 5 by counting to 2 and counting to 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 5. I can count to 5 another way. I can count 3 and count 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now you see the meter itself begins to generate a rhythm. As a matter of fact, when you get past 4, when you do something like 5/4, 7/8, 6/8, there are usually several ways in which you can hear that meter. And the composer quite often will try to give you clues as to how they heard it. Now if you take something like take 5. That's something I wrote. What he's doing is he's counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Because he's going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If I listen to the rhythm that the meter generates, then I can throw whatever code words I want in there, and I'm going to generate rhythms. And also, it's easier to hold the 5 together if I think of it as 3 and 2, or 2 and 3, than to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's very difficult to count to 5 and keep it going without spacing out. So the secret to doing it is never allow anything past 4 to be more than some combination of 2 and 3. And that any count, no matter how complex, if I say do 12/8, well then decide how you want to break 12 down. Should 12 be 4 sets of 3 or should it be 3 sets of 4? It'll sound different. Is it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3? Is it that? Or is it? It'll sound different depending on how I decide to break it up. And that itself becomes some kind of a phrasing. But never past 4 will you ever have to think of anything as being bigger than 2 or 3 or some combination of 2 or 3. Now, what happens if we start stuffing the code words together? Well, what happens is we start generating all these other really strange rhythms. For instance, if I take, by the way, that's number also. But what I've done is I've broken the flag, put it behind. So by drawing 2 flags, 2 of these guys together is number. The number can be drawn that way, or that way, or 2 numbers, 2 groups, sometimes are drawn like that, where they're all tied together. But in every case, they only have 1 bar tying together, or 1 flag on them. If, on the other hand, they have 2 flags, or in this group you see 2 lines across, then this is some kind of diatonic, and not some version of number. This is only part of a diatonic. You'll notice it's only 2 of the pulses. It's only that much of it, or that much of it. separate these guys up, or you can gang them together. And if you gang a long string of them like this together, often Bach will do something Bach will do this, and you wonder what the hell is that? And they're all number, 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 and number. And what he's done is he's written something in 4/4, and that's a whole measure of numbers. But they'll all have one bar timed together, so you can still see them as being separate and distinctly these guys. And if we took off this part, we'd have to put the individual flag on them. It's still the same. It's identical. It will look different, but it's identical. So you have to learn to recognize these little nuanced variations. Now what happens if I take a number and stuff it together with a diatonic? Since this is one entire pulse, and this is one entire pulse, okay, they equate to the same. What that means essentially is two of these guys equal one of those guys. And these two guys over here equal that guy over there. I get two syllables here in the same time that I only get one syllable over here. So I can genderfuck them. I can now take part of one and stuff it onto the other, part of the other, stuff it over here. I can just slice this guy down the middle, for instance, and take this guy with one flag and put him together with these guys with two flags. And now what I have is a num ton. Tonic, 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 tonic. Or I could take these two guys here and stuff this guy on here and get what I call diaver, 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 tonic, tonic, diaver, diaver. You'll notice one's the mirror image of the other, and often in music, mirror imaging becomes highly important for variation. And things that are mirror images of each other are recognized in our unconscious mind as being relatives of each other. So this is husband, that's the wife, or vice versa, whichever. But we would always see these as being related in some way. And so often composers will team these guys up and use them. They go yum ba da 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 yum ba da da yum ba da da. They rarely go diaver num tonic, diaver, diaver, num tonic, diaver, num tonic. They usually go num tonic, diaver, num. Interesting sound. Builds a cute little bridge. Cute little piece of architecture. So whenever you see this, it's really half of this and half of this stuffed together. And if you use half these code words, half those syllables, and half that guy's syllables, out it pops. Okay, another way we can do things is we can stuff. Sometimes we can stick something together with itself by tying it. If I assume that this is number, number, but I decide that I want to hold this note out till it takes up this guy's time, and think of this as one long note there, then it would be number, burr, number, burr, number, burr. I just still think of the num over here. I just don't say it. Number, burr, number, burr, bum, 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 bum. And written out, they would go, well, there's this guy with a flag, and two flag guys put together make one guy without a flag, and then this guy's got a flag. So I have bum, 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 number, burr, number, burr. And it would look something like that. And when you see that rhythm occurring within 2 beats, it's really a variation on number, number. It's num, burr, burr, where the burr of this is stuck together with the num of that. And as I said before, in order to practice it, you can always just say number, number, and play this note twice. Bum, 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 bum. You can always break it back into its component whole pieces anytime you want to. And when it's tied together, you don't have to play it as a tie. Just in your mind, break it right back up into what it was. Play this note twice if you have to, and then later hold the note. All right, we're getting near everyone's burnout point. Okay. I can also take diatonic and if I take and tie this guy to that guy, so the sound of this one kind of moves into the sound of that one. Dia, da, da, dia, 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 da, 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 da. And I can play it. I still think in my head, diatonic all the time. I always think the whole piece, the whole block, the whole code word. I only hold on to the syllables I need to hold on to create that rhythm. And rewritten, this looks like they put the flag there for this part, and then these guys, whenever they want to extend something to make it a little longer, they put a little dot, and that adds 1/2 the rhythmic value. We'll explain that a little bit later. But basically, it would look like this. It'd be 2 flags with 1 flag with a dot. And I have a special code word for this. The code word is bum 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 butter 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 butter. You know what the opposite of butter is? No, close. Actually, I use LSD. No, ergot. But what's the reverse of butter in the commercial? Margarine. If you reverse butter, you get margarine. Da 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 ik da ik margarine margarine butter margarine butter margarine. Actually, a word that works better is ergot, 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 ergot. What ergot is it's diatonic, where the di, and ton are tied together, and you can always think of it this way. Don't need to have a special code word for it, but the special code words help. So I can say butter, ergot, butter, ergot, butter, ergot, butter, ergot, or ergot, butter, ergot, butter, ergot, butter. And again, since these are mirror images of each other, they like to go around dancing together. Composers like to use them in combinations. Bach is very sneaky. Bach will use butter the first time in a piece, and then 8 times use ergot. And he'll only do butter once. Or he'll do ergot 5 times and throw in 1 butter, instead of using all the same. because he doesn't like to do the same thing too much redundantly anyway. He has a basic rule. 1 time is creative. 2 times is establishing the point. 3 times is boring and utterly immaterial, which should never be done. So Bach always will use something twice, and the 3rd time change it. And you'll rarely ever, in any piece of Bach, no matter how sophisticated it gets, hear him do something exactly the same 3 times in a row. He just avoids it. It's a good rule. These rules don't have to be fixed rules, but it's a good rule. Okay. Those rhythms which I just showed you are 90% of everything that happens. There's one more that can happen with diatonic. And that is where these 2 guys are tied together. And the way this would look is it would look like that. The 16ths here, an 8th note in the middle because it's 2 16ths tied together, and the 16th on the end. This is where we're taking, it's neither num nor burr. This is occurring in the center here. And what this is di, aton, hic. Da 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 ba ba bum ba bum. Something interesting about this is it looks a lot like that, the other guy, and this guy was created out of doing this. We took 2 numbers and tied them together in the middle, right? 2 numbers take 2 beats. Bum ba bum bum ba bum number burr. This has the same sound, but it's twice as fast. Yatta bum 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 yatta da 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 bum 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 bum. They look alike, they talk alike, sometimes they even sound alike, but one's twice as long as the other. That's all. This, if you consider this to be normal, then this is larger or augmented, and this is an augmentation of this. If, on the other hand, you consider this to be normal, then this is smaller, twice the speed of that, so this becomes a diminished version of that. So depending on which part of the room you're staring at, whether you're over there or you're over here looking there, I'm normal, he's diminished. No, I'm sorry, I'm normal, he's augmented. It's relative. The point is they sound identical. They even look somewhat alike. But one, this one, is part of this code word that takes up 1 beat. And this is the 2 code words put together and takes up 2 beats. And you'll run into these a lot. Now there's other combinations. For instance, I can take and just drop this guy and put in its place what's called the rest. This looks like, and indeed sounds a lot like, num-tonic, diatonic, diatonic. The only difference is that although this sound here is going all the way up to here, this sound only goes this far, and then there's a gap of silence. And they look alike, and they sound very much alike, except there's this little break of silence in here. If you were dictating rhythms, you'd have a very hard time distinguishing between these 2. As a matter of fact, it really wouldn't matter. How could you tell this from this if I said, oh, now make this note here staccato, make it short? Now, if I'm telling you to make this number short and these long, it would sound exactly the same as this. So it wouldn't matter if you wrote it like this or like that. You wouldn't be wrong, as long as you get the sound right. Now, all the code words that I've given you so far are about 99% of all the music you'll run into. And there are ways of putting these code words together and using these code words. And next week I'll show you how to put these together using what's called song form, and being able to generate songs with these rhythms. And a lot of this depends on you writing some tiny little fragment of something, taking some words, and trying to discover these code words inside of those words when you say them a certain way. And you'll see that if you work on these code words, particularly if you work on the whole code word, that you'll begin to start hearing it out there in the real world. What I suggest you do is when you're walking down the street, imagine that every step you take, get it as a pulse, and go 1, number, diatonic, number, harmony, harmony, diatonic, diatonic, number 1. This is where you don't need a musical instrument and you're still practicing. Thinking this is practice. The more you think this, the more practice you'll do. And I'm sorry, doing it on an instrument isn't going to make it any better. Doing it on an instrument will probably get in your way, just as spelling gets in my way. But doing it in your head until it becomes very fluid, very easy, so it gets to the point where anytime you see some music, you can see the code words and hear them in your head. Or anytime you just sit around snapping your fingers thinking 1, number, diatonic, number, diatonic, diatonic, number 1, number 1, diatonic, diatonic, number, harmony, harmony, number 1. And literally doing that. When you're on the bus, you can practice for 10 minutes in that long, boring bus ride. Nobody knows. You can sit there and pinch yourself and think the code words. And you're practicing. And nobody knows that you're learning music. Nobody will be aware of such a heavy thing that's going on inside. Now there are other ways of applying this. And in my workshops, my music workshops, what I do is I just have people get up and clap their hands and jump around and dance to all this stuff. And it helps to reinforce it in your head. Angel, would you like to help me do something?
Sure.
I'll just give you some examples of some of the things that we hear. One thing is what I call counter clapping. I'm going to clap a code word, and she's going to clap a code word. And between the two of us, we're going to try to make rhythms. First, let's establish the beat. We're first going to just do 1 until 1 swings. And then at any point in that, we're going to start throwing off these code words. See if you can recognize the code words as we do them. And you'll notice that if we really cook with each other, it's going to jam and you're going to hear all the things you've ever heard in music. Ready? 4, 3, 2, go. next rule. You can miss your hands if you want. That's a rest. Now a rest is not, that's not a rest. A rest actually is a time of nothing. Therefore it's something. And because it's something, it has to be represented by a motion. So what I want you to do is instead of going one, go miss your hands. But do the action so all the rest of us know that that's there, you see. Or do a gesture if you want to go, whatever. If you're lost, if you're not sure about coming in, then go, and let the next person pick it up. That way, as a group, we jam as a band, and if one person in the band makes a mistake, we don't all fall flat on our face, right? One of the things about being in a band is you just go on if someone goofs, because there's the cosmic time that we're all locked into rather than individual time. Okay? So this time you can say one, number, or miss your hands, which is silence. Okay, ready? I'll start. 4, 3, 2, go. Now we're going to do diatonic. Now the thing about diatonic is you can really bust your knuckles trying to do it. If we were going at that speed, you wouldn't have been able to do it. You would have come. So I'm going to slow it down. It's important that because it's slow, it stays intense, but don't try to speed it up. Diatonic, diatonic, diatonic. See, I'm trying to figure what diatonic's going to be like, so that's as fast as we can go. Number, diatonic, diatonic, one. I'll start. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pulse, 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 pulse. But you can see how the code words actually help you learn to dictate. That's the important thing. Once you've got the code words in your head, you can hear music and write it down the minute you know the code words, as you all can right now. If I were to tap out something, I should have catch it. As a matter of fact, I'll do that. I'll just tap out 4 beats of something, and then you all tell me what it is. We'll go around the room first. Get Angel. Ready? 4, 3, 2, go.
Number 1, diatonic.
Okay, ready? 4, 3, 2, go.
Diatonic. Diatonic.
One number one. Okay, let's try another one. Ready? Right. Right. You ready? Exactly. So you see, you've all learned to dictate rhythm already. Now all you got to learn to do is take a piece of music and learn to say the code words to it, and the music will pop out. Well, I got you in a circle here. I only have one piece of this music I'll show you. Zip, 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 zip. One of my favorite pieces of Raft here. It's in 3/4, and if you just look at the top line, it's one, number one, 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 number one, 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 number one, number one, number 1, 2, 3. Dun da 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 bum bum. One, number one, number one, number 1, 2, 3. One, number one, number one, number 1, number 1, number 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, number 1, 1, number 1, 1, 1, 1, number 1, number 1, 1, 1, number 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. And you'll notice it's all one in number. And this is all one in number. And that's 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 all one in number. As a matter of fact, the hardest piece in here, it has everything. This little tiny, the shortest piece in this book, which is the Polonaise, has all of those rhythms I showed you. It starts out with got 1, 1, num tonic 1, 2, num tonic number, num tonic num, 2, number num. So it just goes here, it does the ergot there. Num tonic diatonic 1. Number diatonic number diatonic num tonic number diatonic 1 1 1 1 num tonic number 1 1 1 num tonic number num tonic number 1 1. So you should be able to take a piece of music like that and just stick the code words in and clap your way through the piece of music. It's important that you get the rhythm together first, because next week when we learn how to read melody, we're going to learn to read melody by number. And it takes a little time to learn to get used to the number in your head. So I always recommend that people get songs they already know the rhythm to, so you don't have to get stuck also trying to read the rhythm at the same time you're trying to read the melody, until you'll learn to get these things separately together fluidly enough that you can stick them together. So later when we work on melodies, always get songs that you know the rhythm to. So as you work out the number patterns, you can just play the number patterns to the rhythm you know already. But if you're taking on a new song that you've never seen before, the very first thing to do is to sit down and clap out the code words. So you can go. If you can do that to that line, then you can put the melody together, and then later you can stick the harmony against it. But right now, you know enough about code words to get together about 90% of all the music you could possibly run into. As a matter of fact, you could read through you could clap through this entire Anna Magdalena right now, because you won't find anything harder than that. Now I have a little handout I'm going to give you. What this has is the code words, and it has the most common versions of the code words that I showed you up there on the board. together is, like I said, when you're walking down the street, just say those code words. And always start with the whole blocks. And use the ones on the top. One number diatonic. A lot. Because most of the music is just those three. And if you get so you can say those in rhythm fluently, as soon as you can do it fluently, you're going to start picking it up in your ear. And you're going to be walking down the street, and you're going to hear some bass guitar go bump, you're going to bump, 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 and you're going to go, oh, number one. You're going to find it very hard to get away from music. You're going to hear it and you're going to know it. Now, what you do then is after you get those three guys together, add harmony. And make sure that harmony isn't diapher. Because people would say harmony. You can say harmony to a diapher, but it doesn't make it a harmony. Harmony. Everything is very equally spaced. Then what you do is just like we did now. All we did was one number diatonic, mostly, because those are even multiples of each other. And they're very easy, you can hear it right away. But then add something like throw it in there every now and then until you can get it in your ear. Then when you got that together, add another piece and another piece. As I said, less is more. And if you do something very simple, very well, until it's polished like a professional, then add one more piece, and you'll just get that much heavier. And add one more piece, and you'll just be that much more together. But if you try to take on the whole shebang all at once, cross my heart, you fail. And if what you want to practice is failure, go right ahead. This is not the place to learn that. Here I would rather see you do something very simple, very well, and polish it to perfection, and then add one more thing. And it's much better to be a professional amateur than an amateur professional. People will respect you, they'll appreciate what you do if you make it pretty and keep it within your limits. Okay? You get outside your limits and you're comfortable about what you can do. Then you deal with what you can't do. See, a little piece at a time. Also, there are those days I wake up in which I am immortal. I'll sit at the keyboard. No matter what I do, it comes out beautiful. I love those days. I don't know why they happen, but they happen to us all. Those are not the days to practice everything you like. Take advantage of the ozone and practice something you don't know. Those days that I'm immortal and I can play anything, that's when I practice something new. Because I'm more likely to succeed. And when I get up and nothing comes out, then I play the tired old war horses that turn me on. Because it's important to practice and do still something beautiful. Don't practice bad habits. So when you're having a bad day, don't be hard on yourself. Break it down, keep it simpler. When you're having a good day, stretch beyond yourself. That's the class for tonight. Thank you very much. Yeah! Your eye all right?
One thing, when you use a number in tonic, is the number not slow and then the tonic is
Right.
fast?
This is just as fast as it is here. Diatonic, diatonic, tonic, tonic, diatonic, diatonic, diapher, diapher. This is one beat, that's 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 one beat. These are all equal to the same amount of time, except for that. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 9 rhythms. You all jelly in the house?
Thank you.
My turn.
Matcha tea, matcha.
Those are humongous.
Thomas, thank you for the sodas.
Very much.
What would a guru do with us?
It's no longer.
It's very difficult to be a guru and bottle washer. See you next week at 7 o'clock.